It was sort of nice this morning to wake up and hear the word positive news when it came to the coronavirus. Pfizer says they have a vaccine that may be 90% effective.
So by far, one of the biggest stories today, promising news from Pfizer that one of its COVID vaccine candidates appears to be very effective.
Could it be that we now have the cure to COVID-19, the virus that has killed millions of individuals worldwide?
On Monday, pharmaceutical corporation Pfizer announced that they would have a coronavirus vaccine that is more than 90% effective.
But what's the catch? Let's take a deeper look into Pfizer and see what they're truly about. Starting off this countdown, we have the test subjects. The testing for Pfizer's vaccine is still ongoing, so many things can happen between now and when the testing finishes. And turns out that Pfizer didn't tell us too much about their experiments. We know nothing about the groups that they didn't study, like children, the elderly, pregnant women, or immunocompromised people, meaning the vaccine might work differently for them, or may not even be effective. If you're pregnant, that's even more concerning, because we don't know the potential effects the vaccine could have on your unborn child. For example, think back to the thalidomide tragedy. In the 1960s, pregnant women were given thalidomide to help with morning sickness. However, this had negative effects on their child, and they were being born with severe deformities. This affected around 24,000 babies. So as of now, we don't know the effects that it will have on pregnant women or the vulnerable.
And guys, remember to hit that like button because it really helps us out. Coming in at number 9, we have money is a motivator. It would be nice to believe that all these major companies are grinding away on a vaccine for the biggest pandemic in the 21st century, and they're doing it just to help the world, that all they have is good in their hearts, but it really comes down to money. Every one of these massive companies who's working tirelessly to come up with a way to push back against the coronavirus is doing it to fill their pockets. Now that Pfizer has announced that they have a vaccine that is going to be 90% effective at fighting the coronavirus and can be ready to be used before the end of the year, their stock price shot up. This is going to push other companies who are working on a vaccine like Johnson & Johnson to get their product to the point where they can announce them to be ready for the public consumption as fast as possible, which makes me feel a little uneasy. I mean, we all have been in a situation where we have to rush something. Do we always come out with the best product when that happens? Do we always do our best work under pressure? Well, I have to say that I don't normally do, but let's hope that these vaccine scientists are the kind that come up with their best work with a little sweat on their brow.
In our 8th spot, we have the effectiveness. Dr. William Hazelton, expert on infectious diseases and president of Access Health International, said that this vaccine might work like a flu shot, in the sense that it may not work for everyone. He said, and I quote, "It's not necessarily going to protect you from infection, and it may not work for everyone, but it should be useful for many people, and it should moderate the severity of disease." I mean, it's still good news, unless you're like that one person that the vaccine doesn't help. So it may not protect you 100%, it may just lessen the symptoms for when you do get COVID. Again, we really don't know until the vaccine is in its final stages and has been tested on more individuals for a longer period of time.
Coming in number 7, we have long-term side effects. Well, the pandemic has been going on for less than a year. How will Pfizer and the many other companies who are coming out with vaccines know what the long-term effects of this drug are? Well, here's the tea. They don't. All the long-term effects of this vaccine are based on projections. Now, they do have a ton of data, don't get me wrong. The FDA and many other organizations who are in charge of vetting vaccines are using all the data they have from previous vaccines and medicines to know how this drug will affect people in 10 to 20 years. But that doesn't mean that they have the actual data on this drug, and let's be honest, it's impossible to know. We can't know what the long-term effects are until we actually have the drug run its course, and if we wait that long, the damage to our economy and our health might be worse than the side effects of this drug. And if we wait 10 years to start using this vaccine, there might be a new virus that pops up in that time, and we will have a whole new pandemic that needs a whole new vaccine to come out for.
Making our way down the list at number 6, we have the immunity. As you may have noticed already from this list, there's a lot we don't know about this vaccine. Another thing that we don't know is how long the vaccine will last for. How long do we have until the protection against COVID wears off? The last thing we need is to think everything's all good and dandy, that we're safe, and then over the course of a couple years, catch COVID from the vaccine not lasting long enough. Maybe we'll have to get vaccinated every year or every 2 years if that's the case. All I'm saying is that it doesn't guarantee that we are going to always be safe from COVID.
Coming in at number 5, we have spiked COVID numbers help make the vaccine faster. It's no secret that COVID-19 has been spreading through America worse than almost anywhere else in the world. I think it was just the other day that Texas had 1 million confirmed cases.
I didn't know that. That's
true.
insane.
Yeah. Well, because there has been so much COVID in the States, this actually helped Pfizer find out faster that the vaccine was working. See, the way that testing works is to do a double-blind placebo test, meaning that you have two groups of people. In this case, there was 44,000 people. One group was injected with the drug. In this case, it was the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine, and the other group gets a placebo. Neither group knows if they're getting the real thing or if they're getting the placebo, which is kind of wild to think about. On one hand, you want a working vaccine, but on the other hand, you don't want to have an experimental drug. But you can't know because it would affect the results. Well, once everyone was injected with the drug or the placebo, they were sent out into the real world. 90% of the people who caught the coronavirus who were part of the trials had the placebo.
In our 4th spot, we have the spread. As we all know by now, COVID-19 is very contagious and can be spread by particles from coughs, sneezes, laughing, or even talking, which is why we gotta do our part and stay apart. But what we don't know is if the vaccine will reduce the spread to other people. For example, will the vaccine be effective for people that show no or mild symptoms of COVID-19? Will it prevent them from spreading the virus? These are very important questions that we need the answers to. All we need is people going around thinking they are safe from COVID, meanwhile they are spreading it to more and more people.
Coming in at number 3, we have the vaccine requires specialist storage. Not all drugs can be just put on a plane and then sent out wherever in the world. Not everything is a little pill of Tylenol that can sit in your medicine cabinet for 15 years and still get rid of your headache when you whip it out to deal with that hangover. I'm just kidding, don't take 15-year-old medication of any kind.
Please don't.
But my point is that the COVID vaccines that are being developed right now all need specific storage procedures for the vaccine to not go bad. Now, this isn't a huge issue for people who are living in major cities because you should be able to go to a large hospital which will have the proper tools to ensure that the vaccine can be kept properly. But if you're in a small town or rural area and you're interested in getting yourself immunized, then you're going to have to make a pretty long trip to a larger city to get the vaccine. The big problem with this is not just the travel, but the fact that if people are living in an area where the COVID spread isn't bad and then traveling to a high traffic area, there's a chance that they could bring COVID back with them to their small town. Also, getting this vaccine out to developing countries who need it even more than we do is going to be a big issue and could cost millions of dollars more to ensure that they receive the vaccine effectively.
In our 2nd spot, we have the 90% effectiveness. So I think the one thing that caught us all by surprise is how Pfizer claims to be more than 90% effective. Sounds very promising and got a lot of people's hopes up, but I'm here to tell you that their percentage rate isn't all as it seems. So the first analysis released only included data from a trial that included 94 confirmed COVID cases. So the percentage rate is based on a relatively small number of people, which in the end makes the percentage rate look super big and impressive. Also, they haven't released all details of their trials, so it could be that they omitted more info to make the number better than it actually is. We need far more participants in order to get an accurate number.
And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have not enough doses. So let's say that everything goes off without a hitch. We have no side effects, we're able to get this drug to everyone in the world, and it gives you lifelong immunity. Well, there is also the problem of mass production of this drug. The official word from Pfizer is that they hope to create 1.3 billion doses of this drug within a year. That is a ton. It should be easier to get your hands on this vaccine than the PS5. But here's the thing, you actually have to take 2 doses of this drug for it to work properly. Each one of these doses is supposed to be taken 3 to 4 weeks apart. So actually that cuts the amount of doses that will be able to spread around the world in half. There will only be around 650 million doses to get around the world. If we want to have worldwide immunity, then we're going to need somewhere close to 4 billion doses, and you have to remember that this thing isn't going to work for 10% of the people. With all that thrown into the mix, we could be stuck in this pandemic situation for a year longer, which I really hope doesn't happen because I think we can all agree we're over it by now.
And now let's move on to our comment shout out portion. We'll be shouting out comments from the video Top 10 Creepy Japanese Bedtime Stories. Alex Plays Roblox 101 commented, Lindsay is very beautiful and nice. Che has nice hair and is super hilarious.
I'll take it.
I'll take it too. Love it. Thank you. HughesNum3 commented, I love when Lindsay says, disgusting. There you go. It's so much fun saying it.
It is good. It's very good.
Suede Husted commented, you guys do rock together, especially when they include you two being real. Rock real life.
Love it.
I love being real.
Being real and rock real life.
Rock real life, that's my new. Hey guys, and that's it for today's video. Rock real life.
Yes.
I should do that instead of I'll see you when I see ya.
We got Ronel Hamal, who loves commenting on all our videos. He said, interesting fact, the biggest TV in the world is 262 inches.
Wow.
That is an interesting fact.
How big is that?
Very big.
Is that like about the size of the green screen? Probably.
Yeah, probably about that.
Probably. Ah, look at that. Okay.
Elijah Hill wrote in and said, I gotta say I love the Japanese ones. My aunt and uncle are currently living out there, so it's kind of cool watching these and having creepy stories to tell her about.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Probably spooking her. She's gonna move back.
Very spooky. And Kaito Reynolds wrote in and said, I'm part Japanese and I've never heard of any of these. New stuff for you.
There you go.
I gave you new things.
Our knowledge to you.
Yes. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we'd love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I've been your host, Jay Dorena.
I've been your other host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya.
Bye, guys.
Rock real life. I think it's me.
Yeah. Do I stick
Oh,
around?
wait. I was like, Jay, why you still here? For example, think back to the thalidomide tragedy. In the 1960s, pregnant women were given thalidomide. In the 1960s, pregnant women were given thalidomide. Woo! Chay.